You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Are you ready? I'm saying, are you ready? Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform
Or ask your smart speaker
to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Right, Chris.
Alrighty, good evening, good morning, good day, good afternoon, good night, goodbye, hello, welcome along wherever you are in the world, welcome along to LTID TV from Leicester Till I Die. We had them all in for the watch along at the weekend. We had Malaysia, we had, I think, Vietnam, we had our usual assortment of Americans, which is always a pleasure to see, and obviously Luke, the odd Australian as well. I apologise for the slight lateness of the show this evening, but before we came live, Kate was showing us her photographs. And if you send me PayPal for £10, I will send you her OnlyFans account details, and you can get on there and check her out. Oh, right. If I have to disappear halfway through the show, you'll know why. This is the debate show. And we have our normal array of guests coming in. We're going to have a few topics to go through. So when we're going through the chat, please keep on point with what we're talking about at that point. If you've got any questions, if they're not actually related to what we're talking about, they won't get ignored. But what I would ask you to do is if you can please save those up until towards the end of the show. And then what we'll do is we'll come back and go through your questions, which I will be putting to our esteemed panel. Bit like question time, but without David Dimbleby. Talking of which, we do have a David, though, and I'm going to say he's very, very welcome. God knows where he's going to take us tonight.
I told you, I've severed diplomatic relationships with them.
Oh, you are officially at war with Belgium, are you?
Yeah, I've linked up with the Isle of Wight now.
That doesn't have the same sort of... I mean, Belgium, you've got the chocolate, the history. What's the Isle of Wight got?
History.
Is it?
That's about it, yeah.
Well, I must Google it later on. You know.
Anyway, how are you?
I am very well. I am. Yeah. How the devil are you?
I'm all right. This could be the last time my laptop works on anything now. I've got a photo album back holding the lid up, so.
We thought that you were struggling down there in Surrey with Storm Kieran. What was it? Kieran, was it?
No idea, mate. I don't know where they think of the names from. I really don't. I don't see the point either.
There'll be a Storm Kate along soon. You can, you know.
I think she's been here once, hasn't she?
Well, you would know.
Last year, Storm Kate. Didn't we have one of those?
Where was Kathy? That is the question. Does she know? Kathy?
Storm Dave.
Well, that's fair, isn't it? But are you all right? Because, I mean, it has been bad. Like I was saying before the show, no electricity, no water.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I said before, Bono's going to be doing a charity concert for you guys soon.
Well, you'd think so, wouldn't you? But the good news is it didn't blow the whole thing up. So we've still got 2 desks. It's just one doesn't work at the moment.
For those of you that wondered why that jumped, he's on about the Surrey Hills Community Radio, a fantastic radio station. Do check it out. You can check it online, www.surreyhillsradio.co.uk, and you can click listen live to all the great shows, or you can click listen again and listen to some idiot doing the breakfast show every morning.
Apart from yesterday.
Well,
couldn't listen to anything yesterday.
Don't talk about that. Honestly, I've just given it a huge build-up, and you've got a
I know. Wow.
Anyway, we were talking about www.onlyfanskate.blakey.com. I think she's reasonable. I think she's fully clothed in a row. Let's bring her in.
Hello, Kate.
How the devil are you?
What an introduction. Yeah, I'm okay, thanks. I'm okay, thank you.
You don't have to put up with this.
But,
You don't have to put up with this,
I know. I really don't.
He's got indemnity insurance. You can take him.
I'm surprised to give him cover. I'm surprised the quotes on him, to be honest.
She saves every video as evidence. Right, we'll say a few hellos before we get going. Scott is in. I am Scott. I hope you are as well. Managed to avoid. Very quiet last night. Did you guys have a lot of bonfires and fireworks going off? It was really quiet.
Yeah, quite a lot.
Early,
a
bit early. Although, my daughter in Frimley said it was all. They've got a dog, and it was a nightmare trying to keep him calm. But then they seemed to stop, and then suddenly at about 10 o'clock Sunday night, just one massive bang happened, and that started him off shaking again. I mean, he's a border collie, so they're a bit anyway. But yeah, that doesn't help.
Nate is in. Hello, Nate. How are you? Still upset about the Leeds defeat. Well, it happens. Ronald is in. Hello. John is in. Hello. We'll come back to that next comment later, John. John Scott, sorry. Or is that Olive? Well, that is the question. Yes, we've had the ambulance out now over our way due to the fact. Really? Oh, wow. It's not one thing, it's your mother. Right, here we go. So like I say, please do save questions till the end. Or if you do stick them in, I'll try and star them and come back to them. But please, as I say them towards the end, and we'll bring them all up, and I will put them to my 2 esteemed colleagues. But I want to start with this one because, and Kate, you were there, but a lot of people coming on afterwards and saying how bad the referee was at the weekend. And we're not going to go into the match because we did a separate show, which is still on Leicester Till I Die TV, with Brad, and we went through, we analysed the match and rated the players. So we're not going to talk about the match in too much detail. But was the referee that bad?
He didn't have a great game, no, but I can't remember where I've come away from a match feeling any different for quite a long time, to be honest. I didn't think he was great. I didn't quite see what happened with the Hamza incident. I thought he let that get a bit out of hand. I've not been enamoured with them for quite a long time, to be honest. I think they get some simple things wrong, and I think they are emotionally influenced these days, which it's not an easy job, and there's not a lot done to protect them on the field in terms of keeping players away from them. But I didn't think it was great on Friday, which has become typical, really.
The thing is, Dave, let me come to you with this one, because when I do the watch-alongs, and I'm like, oh, bloody hell, referee, what are you doing? And I have to stop myself because I'm thinking, well, last season that would have probably had to go for a 5-minute check while somebody ate the sandwiches and decided whether, the ball was flat or round or what. I mean, I don't know about the earth being flat. They check whether the ball is sometimes. I mean, I think it was 5.5 minutes at the end of the game for Bournemouth Burnley the other week. Is it? I mean, I was one of the ones that wanted VAR. But are we better off with referees who, yes, might genuinely make mistakes, but they call it as best they can from what they've seen?
I think the problem is that, like cricket, referees are now too reliant on VAR, certainly in the Premier League. And I think the other problem is them dropping down to the Championship. They haven't got any protection. They've got to start refereeing again. Linesmen or whatever you want to call them.
Obviously, but
Eh?
we will come on to about the Championship, and the dropping down.
Sorry, okay. But that's the point of it, is that they don't know how to referee anymore. The linesmen have never been linesmen for, 5 years or more? They stick their flag up when the referee points. And this is the problem. We got lazy officials, and they're obviously a lot fitter than they've ever been, but they're just not very good. I mean, I don't believe all this about if they haven't played football, it makes a difference. We had referees in the day that could hardly walk, but they were blooming good referees, and they knew what was going on, and they hadn't played football.
But Dave, they didn't, in fairness, have 6 or 7, 10, 12 cameras all around the ground looking at it from different angles, which the referees in the Championship don't have. And, we actually, as fans, watching it on the telly, see more than the referee does on the pitch.
Yeah, but you can't tell me that even in the Premier League, was it Newcastle Arsenal? They had 5 on the panel, of which 3 disagreed with each other, and they'd seen it 20 times. So you still can't tell. So why not just go with the referee's decision instead of wasting 6 minutes of time coming to a decision that may or may not be right? Football is a game of human beings, and that's how it should be. So the answer to your question, yeah, we're better without VAR.
At the end of it, Kate, I mean, I've only been to the one match. You've obviously been to a lot this season. What I enjoyed when I was at the match was, and I forgot sort of 10 minutes into the game, I'd forgotten that we weren't waiting for VAR. I saw 5 goals, which we celebrated straight away. We looked at the linesman, looked at the referee, celebrated, and I think sometimes when we're blaming referees now, and it's very easy to blame the referee, and we know a lot of fans come out and go, we lost because the referee was bad, blah blah blah, or the referee's a homer or whatever, as in home supporter, I should say, before I get the letters.
I'm just writing mine now.
Dave. But but when I'm doing the watchdog, and I'm having to bite myself thinking, hang on a second, no, I'd sooner have this and him get the odd thing wrong than having to wait 5 or 6 minutes for a bloody decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if there's wrong decisions or from what you think, because it's not been replayed on VAR. In the Championship, there's wrong decisions or unfairness. It doesn't stay with you like VAR does. Like as it was frustrating on Friday night, I didn't come away thinking of the referee. I came away thinking about our performance. Whereas with VAR, there is absolutely no excuse to get things wrong. There's no excuse. So when things keep happening that have gone wrong, it's absolutely pointless having it, because you've seen it 30 times and you've still made the wrong decision. That's what people can't get their heads around. The Arsenal thing, Newcastle thing, that's a big debate. The Liverpool goal was more the problem a few weeks ago, wasn't it? When he didn't give them a goal. That's a massive, massive error. And it's not excusable. When it's just the run of play, the game is so fast. I mean, I've sat by the touchline a few times at away games this year, and the linesman just hasn't got a cat in hell's chance of keeping up with play, with offside. They are so quick. So I kind of understand it, but with VAR, there's just no excuse to get it wrong, and that's the frustration, I think, from fans, and why it's such a big talking point. It was supposed to take away ambiguity. It was supposed to take away contentious decisions, and all it seems to do is dominate the headlines and dominate the punditry chat all the time, and it's quite tiring, and I would much prefer to think, well, he's human, he's made an error, swings and roundabouts, and then it's drawn a line under and you're on to the next game.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking back to that last season we had before VAR was introduced, and all we seemed to do afterwards was talk about, and maybe this is the fault of the TV, is the fact that they want to concentrate on this, Dave. But all they talked about was the referee did this and the referee didn't do that. And they're sat there with all their, BBC or Sky cameras, being able to see it from different angles. The referee can't. They then brought this thing in, and was it 5 seasons now? It's still no better.
Surely not. Was it really that long?
No. But, I was watching Match of the Day a few weeks ago, and it was the Bournemouth, like I say, Burnley game. And I think it was Burnley got an equaliser or a win. I can't remember which. I think it was an equaliser. It was something like the 89th minute. And it took them like literally 5.5 minutes to decide. All right, and we're going to come on to the thing about the time later, of course. At that time was added on. But at that time, Burnley were on top. In that 5.5 minutes that it took, they'd lost the momentum. It had completely taken the sting out of the game. Bournemouth were probably very happy because they were under the cosh at the time. Surely that is wrong. Surely the fans would sooner say, "Oh, look, it's either a goal or it isn't." But if it isn't, get on with it, because at the moment we are on the top.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it last year a few times. We were at Brighton. They scored a wonderful goal from outside the box, and it took over 5 minutes. In the end, all the Leicester fans were just booing as well. I think we'd gone past caring by then anyway. But the point was that, it was a cracking goal. If they can't find out within a minute...
We were 4 down or something at that point anyway.
Well, actually, 4-1, I think, because we scored in 2 minutes, didn't we? But if you can't find out within 2 or 3 minutes, then just go with the referee's decision. Because that's the whole point of it. It's a clear and obvious error? Well, how can that be bloody clear and obvious when it takes them half an hour to decide whatever, and they disagree anyway, and then they get it wrong? I mean, it's crazy.
I think as well, like, one of the problems with VAR is that when you think of VAR and the traditional rules of the game, the traditional rules have been made grey. Like, no player on the pitch knows what handball is anymore. No player. Some are given, some aren't. You don't have to be looking at the ball. Your hand can be in a natural position or an unnatural position. That's a debatable point. Everything's become ambiguous about even a handball decision, even an offside decision. Is it a toenail? Is it a shoulder? Is it a shirt sleeve? No one knows. So the simplicity of actually a really simple game is gone. So that's why when they look at it a million times, they're not actually sure, well, did he move his arm out? Or was he just because he was jumping? Or everything's so grey, and no one has a blimmin' clue, especially with the handball, because some are given and some aren't, and no one can ever explain why.
No.
But this is the thing, VAR was, you're supposed to have a guy that sat there that knows the rules, that looks at it and can interpret what's gone on. The problem is, they're like, an Englishman in Russia now can't understand the thing that's going on and has no idea. I mean, I think the other day, the guy that they have on the Sky Saturday now, Mike Dean, he was saying that there's no way you can get ex-players to be, VAR or referees. And I'm saying, why not? Because an ex-player knows and understands the game. Now, I'm not saying that, Wayne Rooney, when he retires, wants to become a referee, but there's a lot of Julian Watts that comes on this show, ex-player. We'd love to do VAR. And they can be trained up, yes. Mike Dean said, well, they don't know anything. They don't know about the referees, the rules and all this. Well, they can teach them. None of the referees did at the start. They've already got that advantage of having played the game. And surely they'd be able to look at it and say, no, that's natural position. Or no, he couldn't help putting his hand up there because he's actually played the game and he understands it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I just think, Kate, if we've got those sort of officials, then we'd respect it a little bit more. And still accept that, yes, occasionally they're going to get it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. And I think a lot of players would be more inclined to just let the play pan out. Like with VAR, often the replays are slowed down or freeze framed, which is absolutely ludicrous in a free-flowing fast game when you're looking at, is he got his studs up, or what it does look so on the freeze frame, but actually when you run the tape through, he's not got his studs up, he's not malicious at all. It would make sense if players could have the common sense approach, like with I think I saw an offside a couple of years ago when Man U had Ronaldo again, and he was miles offside, but he didn't get to the ball because the keeper did. So the keeper just beat him to the ball, and it went out for a corner, and Man U scored from the corner. But he was so far offside. But he just didn't touch the ball in the phase of play. And it's just, whereas I think a common sense approach would be, he's clearly interfering because the keeper's had to come out and clear it. And there's the common sense approach on players that they have played the game and they can apply some logic and common sense to it, really.
Talking of common sense, I can't believe I'm saying this, Dave. There's... I mean, surely, you know, we've got to. There's something's got to be done about it. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going back to no VAR.
Isn't it?
But surely, when you look at that, and it's not just us that are saying this. Dan, my mate, the Burnley fan, he said the great thing is not having VAR anymore. And I say you'll accept the odd decision will go against you because, you know, you put it down to human, we'll get one of those in a couple of games' time or whatever before the end of the season.
Do you think Wolves think it'll even itself out throughout the season? I don't think so somehow. And you talked about
Mike VAR, isn't it? It's not. That's not human. That's VAR. They're dealing with.
Yeah, but humans compute, don't they? They deal with the computer. They put in the information. They assess the information. It's. Thanks, Scott.
I didn't see it.
No, good. It's best not, Kate. Best not. No, I don't know what the hell I was on about now.
Well,
we say that every week, mate.
You're saying that Wolves may not think like that.
Anyway, those sausages. Mike Dean. You talked about Mike Dean. I mean, as Nigel Pearson said, he's arrogant. Some of the times he's refereed Leicester, have been appalling. He is arrogant. You can tell that when I've watched him on Sports Saturday. He's just not I don't know. Don't want to be too horrible to him, but he's an idiot. And you think, well, that's the sort of guy that are refereeing games. No wonder there's problems. And for him to say that about footballers is disgraceful. Because footballers know when somebody's dived. They know when a tackle's intentional to hurt somebody. They know all these things because they've done it. They know when a goalkeeper's fouled and when the goalkeeper's feigning it because we've all done it. You start suddenly shout when somebody touches you and you get a foul. It's embarrassing, all of it. And VAR just doesn't make it any better to me. Except for the cup final.
Well, is exactly when it goes in your favour. Kate, I've forgotten my question now. It'll come back to me in a minute. Carry on talking, Dave. Carry on.
Anyway, so how was your day?
They say about the players, they can fast track referees. We know that they fast track referees sometimes. Why can't they fast track these players? And I know a lot of referees have to go through the Sunday leagues and then the lower leagues and then the EFL before they get to the Premier League if they're deemed good enough. But I just think should they not be given the chance, ex-players, to put their ideas forward, even if it is just in the VAR? I'd sooner see them on the pitch and VAR gone altogether.
Yeah, I would as well. I think I would much prefer that as well. I think players should perhaps even have sort of some influence in some of the rules of the game. Like the offside rule has changed so many times in the last 20 to 25 years. It used to be daylight and now it's toenail. We've gone from one extreme to the other. The same with handballs, the same with penalties. There's lots of things that are in contention that I think players probably be in disagreement with, because penalties are so regular. I think I tweeted the other week as well, like out of the 8 Premier League games on one Saturday, 4 had red cards in, which is just ridiculous. Like, it makes it sound like it's warfare out there. Like that's just not, that's ridiculous to have 4 red cards across 8 games. The Premier League isn't it's not a dirty league. It can get a bit physical, and that seems to be what's getting punished, is people being physical. So I think if players got brought in a bit to discuss some of the laws of the game to make them realistic and not take the spirit out of the game, everybody would kind of be on board with it, I think, a bit more. But it's whether players would want to. I don't know whether there is a desire or enough uptake for enough players to make an impact. Do you not
think that, let's say Joe Smith, midfielder for Rochdale, gets injured, his career finishes early, and he's maybe got to go out selling double glazing or insurance, no disrespect to those businesses. If he's offered the chance, and they're on good money these days, referees. It's not like a lowly played, you don't have some sausage butcher that they used to have that used to do that at the midweek and then go reffing at the end. But if they were approached, do you not think they would want to, Kate?
If they were approached, yeah, possibly. I think that's the whole thing, though, isn't it? Would they get approached? Does football want to improve? Do the powers that be behind the game want to improve it? And I genuinely don't think the answer is yes.
It's a closed shop, referees union. It's a closed shop. Yeah, and they're a different breed now. I mean, if you think back, I know you have to look back, don't you, to learn. We had a referee lived up the road from me in Great Bookham called Ray Lewis.
Did he ever find his way home?
He did indeed. He actually was unlucky enough to referee the Hillsborough tragedy semi-final. But he refereed local games as well for a bit of fun. You never even knew he was on the pitch. If somebody was being a bit naughty, as one of our players could be, he'd just run alongside him and have a quiet word. None of this come to me and, this stuff. And, he'd just have words. Say, look, if you carry on, you'll be off. We're not messing about, but I don't want to. And that's how he worked. And that's how referees did it in those days. Now, it seems they have to be the centre of attention. And while you've got that, they're not going to change. A foul is supposed to be intentional. I don't think they've changed the rules. If it's accidental, it's not a foul. That's all gone out the window. I haven't even looked at the football rules for a long time, but I'm sure that is definitely one of them, that, a foul is given for an intentional infringement. Now, you tell me handballs in the box like they're giving are intentional.
I actually went down one of my famous YouTube rabbit holes at the weekend, because obviously the Leicester game was Friday night, so I had nothing to do, because now I'm no longer with my wife. I don't have to go out shopping on a Saturday afternoon.
Bonus.
Every cloud, as they say, every cloud. But I went. I say my well-known, my well-famous YouTube rabbit hole, and I ended up watching the Leeds Chelsea FA Cup replay, which they've obviously classed as the most dirty game ever. And I watched that, and I'm thinking, like, not only would it only be 5-a-side by the end of it, but if that was a VAR controlled match, that would have gone on for like a week.
Yeah,
been stopping every 5, checking every. It was awful.
But don't you miss all that?
Yes, I do,
really?
And that's what I love.
Yeah.
That's what I love. And tell me if I'm wrong, guys. And either of you coming on this one, but when I'm watching a game, and I'm thinking the referee, in fairness, and maybe this is why people think the referees are bad. They're not blowing the whistle, or I'll come to Kate because it's Kate's turn, and they're not blowing the whistle every 5 minutes. They are letting tackles go in this division. And I look at something and I think, ooh, and the referee's going play on, or no, it's not a foul or whatever. And he's thinking, yeah, we're seeing more football.
Yeah, we are seeing less stoppages, I guess. I think it's just more the frustration of for me on Friday, because it's a recent event, some of the stuff was so they just fall for it. Like, you can't run up to a player from behind. He'll know you're there and just throw himself on the floor, and the referee falls for it every time. You can see what's happening, and then I'm going to grab my head because play's not stopped and we've lost possession, so I'll grab my head. So whilst I do, it is a bit more free flowing, but it can be petty stoppages as well still.
But is that the referee's fault? I mean, if he's holding his head, he's got to stop the game, and players know that. But is it not the players' fault? And should managers not be earning the money and taking the players aside and say, look, cut it out?
Yeah, I think they should do. Players, it seems to be a positive thing that can happen in the game if they do that. So why would they? They can get something out of it. But there was quite a few lengthy stoppages on Friday, and we were saying that if you need treatment on the pitch, if you call a physio on, they should have to bring a stretcher to take you off. If you want treatment, you're going off the pitch and the game restarts, and that's the end of it. You shouldn't be able to stop play and sit in the field of play for 5 minutes while you decide or talk tactics or whatever bit of play you want to discuss, or pretend to have an injury. It shouldn't be like that. Just get them off the pitch. If it's that bad, stretcher on straight away, carry them off. And it will soon stop it. It will soon stop it.
They soon get up, wouldn't they?
Played Burnley last season. One of their players, or the season before, sorry, when we were both in there, one of their players actually edged his arse back onto the pitch. He was actually off the pitch, and he edged it on so that the game would be stopped. But surely that is down to the managers saying, cut it out. You know, don't. I mean, I'm sure the managers encourage it. Say, you shouldn't be doing that, lads. Wink, wink.
Of course they do. Of course they do. And they will tell them to do it.
Yeah, they'll tell them to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Was it Neil Warner?
Because you can't have roll on, roll off subs, which is another contentious decision. Like, if you're injured and need to go off, you shouldn't be left down to 10 men. If someone's nailed you on the pitch, you shouldn't be left to 10 men for 5 minutes to sort yourself out. Like rugby has blood replacement. Just have a roll on, roll off. It's not a big deal. But they just don't want to help themselves. And a lot of the new rules that have been brought in from football are always exploited. The head injury thing is exploited. I think in one of the Liverpool games the other day, a guy went down playing against Liverpool, holding his leg, realised it wasn't stopping, so he moved it to his head. And then even like the free kicks, it got exploited, so they had to bring in the shaving foam. Every rule is exploited. And that's
we're back to your OnlyFans then, aren't we?
It's a dishonest sport, sadly. It's a very dishonest sport. It's not gentlemanly at all.
Should they then, Dave, use VAR retrospectively? Should they've got all week to watch these games? Should they be sat there and going, "Oh, that guy obviously dived. It's a yellow card."
Yeah.
Because the referee, again, the manager would then soon be saying, "Cut it out, lads," because you want, if you do that again and it's watched retrospectively, and we've all seen it, we all know as fans, we see, like Kate just said, holding his leg, then holding his head. VAR should be looking at and going like, wow, that's cheating, basically. That's a yellow card. All right, maybe not a red card retrospectively, but issue yellows because they will add up.
But they can't do anything with yellow cards, can they? Oh, I'm echoing.
I'm echoing.
Oh, we're all echoing. Kate, are you echoing?
Am I echoing?
Yeah.
Nah.
I can hear myself. Yeah. I can hear myself back with you.
I'll try to mute in me and see if it's me.
Okay. Right, that's much better. No, it's not. It's not you, Chris. I'll mute me.
Right.
That's stopped now. Mine's stopped.
Well, I've muted Dave. Oh, I can still know. I'm still getting echoing. It might be you, Kate.
Is it me?
Now then, Dave. Yes, it's Kate.
Yeah.
It is Kate. Honestly, typical bloody woman. Speaking once isn't enough for her. Kate, can I just say then, please, if you can mute yourself when you're not talking.
Yeah.
Is that okay? And then we won't get the feedback. It's usually Brad that we have this trouble with.
I thought I'd sorted it. Never mind.
Don't worry, if you just do that, and then we're not getting it back.
It's echoed
going
because she
back,
ain't got many photos up. That's why.
look, you just want to see him again, don't you, Dave? Pay to join like everybody else, you tight bugger.
My £10 on its way, mate.
But should it be used retrospectively?
Well, definitely. I don't get lots of things about it all. I don't get where they can't overturn a yellow card because that can bring a ban. I don't get when you go off the pitch because someone's taken you out. I think Kate said it, and you have to wait to come on now. There's a waiting list limit. Is it 30 seconds or something, or a minute before you can get back on the pitch? I heard a commentator say yesterday. I mean, that's ridiculous. I do agree that they should be straight off the pitch. Nobody getting treatment on the field because they'll soon get up. You know, I mean, they're rolling around in agony, and the next minute they're chasing back for the ball when it's coming their way again. So, you know, it's rubbish. It really is.
The classic one was the obviously Italy in was it the Euros where he went down, didn't get the penalty, they scored, he suddenly got up and was cheering.
Yeah, send him off. I'll send him off.
Exactly, yeah. Kate, are there too many rule changes? Is this the trouble that the players don't know where they're standing? And in fairness, to be honest with you, sometimes the referees are maybe forgetting, oh shit, has that been updated or am I still doing that? Because they seem to change the rules every season.
Yeah, I think it just comes back to the ambiguity point, doesn't it? That I've changed my microphone, by the way, so hopefully that I've redirected my sound somewhere else, and that might help. So I think it's just due to the ambiguity of the rules. Like offside, when a lot of these referees probably learnt their craft, was it's very black and white. It's offside or it's not. It's not, oh, you're not interfering, or you're not in the keeper's line of sight, or you stood by the corner flag. It was never anything to do with that. Are you closer to the keeper than the last defender? That was the end of it. And now there's so many different phases of play and different interpretations. Handball to me was deliberate, and if you gain control from it, that leads to a goal probably.
Perez FA Cup final.
Yeah, whereas now is it above the head? Is it a natural position? Well, how can you possibly say if it's someone's natural position? You're not there. And I think there was an Arsenal one given about a month ago, and the guy was blocking a shot from about a yard away and slid in like that, and it hit him up here. And you just can't ever say that that's deliberate handball. He was slow, he's in no control of his body at that point. It wasn't like he literally palmed it off the goal, Luis Suarez style. It's all become ambiguous. So the rules have made the referee's job a lot harder, even with camera replays. Yeah,
that is a lot better, by the way, Kate. I can remember.
I'm impressed. 2 microphones, Kate. Hey? Yeah.
Is that a stage name?
I think so, yeah. Hey, 2 mics, how you doing?
Onlyfans.com, everybody. Check out 2 mics, Kate. He's not called Mike, is he? Please don't tell me he. I can remember when I was at school, and when you're at school, they have these book clubs where they come around and they sell you books. And I actually bought at the time it was the FA rules to the game of football.
You saddo.
But as a kid, you're thinking, well, maybe. All right, it was literally not as thick as that.
No. Okay.
Now, if you get your rule book, it's probably the size of that. I mean, that's literally is the difference. As Kate said, there's just many rules. It can be simplified a lot. I think they should just get rid of offside, to be honest with you. But Kate, and I'll come back to you in a second, Dave, but I wanted to take up with Kate a point that you actually brought up that she did want to talk about, and that is players not abiding by rules, as in going off the pitch by the nearest place, walking very slowly off a pitch. Your thoughts on that, Kate? Because I know you wanted to discuss that.
Yeah, I think that's just another bad reflection of the referee and where they do wimp out a bit. I'm not saying that I can do a better job, and I'm not saying that it's an easy What is it? 10,000 things you need to know what? About what? Anything?
Everything.
Bloody hell.
Scary, isn't it?
OJ Simpson, I opened the page at. Hannibal. Lou Bang.
Bloody hell. Anyway.
So scary, he's frozen.
I know. You're actually frozen.
Let it go.
But yeah, some of the rules are just the referees wimp out properly enforcing them. So walking off that, I mean, that was quite funny on Friday night. I don't know if you saw that, Chris, that when one of the players was so close to the touchline on the far side that he decided to walk the other way, and Yannick literally shoved him off. It was brilliant. He wasn't messing with Yannick, that was for sure. And he did end up going off, having to walk by all of us and get some abuse. But it's just things like that. The referee wasn't going to enforce it, so Yannick did. Like, why isn't the referee enforcing it? And he holds his watch like this, like some theatre production, like big drama. Well, you know he's not stopped his clock. You know he's not stopped his clock. It doesn't get added on. So it's just constant underhand behaviour from players and fans on both sides. All fans absolutely hate it. It's horrible. It's a horrible part of the game and ruins it when people aren't punished for it, really. If that's the rule, just enforce it and literally stop the clock. And if they can take all day, then if they want to take 20 minutes to walk off the pitch, as long as the clock is stopped, fans won't mind. It's just constantly underhand behaviour that is frustrating.
It is. And like I say, I think if we had, the retrospective rule in VAR, they could look at that and go, no, he should have gone off by the nearest point. That is a yellow card. Dave, I'm going to move on and come to you first with this one. Because there's the Anthony Taylor has just been demoted because of his mistake at the weekend. Howard Webb, who seems to be spending more of his time on the TV apologising for VAR than actually trying to do anything to put it right. Should Premier League referees get it wrong? Whether they should be punished or not, because the idea is that if they get it wrong, then the VAR should back them up. But the VAR's recently got demoted as well. Should they be dumped on the Championship? Should we have to put up with the shit that's come back up the toilet in the Premier League?
No, League Two.
But then should they? Why should they have to put up with it? Should they not just be banned altogether? Wages stopped.
Yep.
Again, that is the shortest answer ever that Dave has given.
I just don't see what good it does by demoting them. I mean, if it's a genuine mistake, it's not. Won't do them any favours.
No,
you're right. Why should we have to put up with them? And have they got enough referees to do that? And who's dealing with? I mean, surely VAR is the problem, because, as you say, if a referee makes a mistake in the Premier League, it goes upstairs. That's when the problem is.
I think with that Liverpool one, which was probably the worst one so far this season, although we're only a quarter of the way through the season, I'm sure there'll be more. The VAR guys got demoted.
They should have been sacked.
Yeah,
no doubt.
All three of those that are in the picture there have been demoted. Should it then, Dave? Should it then be a one warning, like at work, a written, a verbal warning, a written warning, a second written warning, sacked?
Well, as you say, it's a job. They earn a lot of money from it. It's not a part-time thing anymore. It's like everything. If you get it wrong, you pay. Whether you pay financially or professionally, but you rarely get away with it. And these guys get away with murder. And they just carry on doing it. I don't get it at all. I mean, we all say, and only because we're nice, say, well, referees, it's a difficult job. No, it's not. It's not a difficult job. It's just whether you know the rules and know how to referee. I mean, to me, the hardest bit is keeping up with the damn players. But, if you've got proper linesmen and you can still see something that goes on. You don't have to be right on top of it to see it. We can see things in the stands and we're not right on top of them. So it's all about knowing and interpreting the rules properly. And they can't do it.
That might be the point then, mightn't it? That if they're not interpreting the rules properly, I'm not a big believer in demotion because I don't want the crap. That's not fair on other leagues. If you are a professional referee, then professional football is your level, whether it's Premier League or League Two. You should be good enough or bad enough for all of those leagues. But the issue is around education. And if they actually sought some feedback from referees to say, actually, I'm making these mistakes because I don't know where I am and I don't know what the rule is, or I'm caught up in the moment. And because I'm constantly getting it in the ears from people, like Harry Maguire at the weekend stood behind the guy shouting at him while he's watching the TV on the screen. It's just not acceptable behaviour. So the referees need education, and demotion just isn't the right thing to do, because you're either good enough or you're not. You're competent or you're not. You're not. Oh, you're competent for League One or you're competent for the Championship, but not the Premier League. What? Why? You're either competent or you're not. It's the same job.
Talking about what you were saying before about, not walking off the pitch, not applying rules. Unless they've changed it, I thought they'd brought a rule in, and I suppose Maguire I don't think was the captain. I think that's Bruno at the moment, that it should only be the captain that goes to the referee.
Yeah, so he wasn't actually at the referee. The referee was stood there looking at the screen to make a decision because he'd been referred to the screen, and Maguire stood about 10 feet back shouting at him. Can't you see that? Can you see this? What's going on? I would just not tolerate it. And I'd say to him, if you start doing that again, you're sent off. Stop cheating. It's basically cheating.
Yeah, to be honest, Kate, I'd send them off anyway.
Yeah, it's just not acceptable.
They know, but they're told to get on the referees, to get at them all the time, have a word. Maddison used to be good at that. He'd be having a quiet word as they're running up the pitch together. Stuff like that. Just planting that seed in the referee's mind that just maybe he might have got it wrong, and next time he might go on their side. And that's what it's all about. And it's always been like that, to be fair.
Fergie was the king of it, wasn't he?
Well, it's always been like that. But the difference was in the old days is that the referees didn't tolerate it.
No.
And they
red cards can be rescinded. So if the referee is giving out these red cards and then there's a fuss about it, they might say, well, it wasn't really booking them. So if they booked Maguire at that point, and then that really makes it worse, because he's then, as a defender, he's got to really be careful and not slide into any tackles because he's already on a stupid yellow. It's like kicking the ball away and they book you for that, I mean, they're more concerned with booking. Do you remember when Damari Gray got booked for taking his shirt off when he scored against Cardiff?
I was just thinking that.
They're more bothered about those sort of rules than they are the proper rules.
And you notice that they don't ever not do that. If someone takes their shirt off, they're never not booked.
No.
Why is that rule followed to the letter and other ones aren't? Yeah. It's because there's no real repercussions. You've either took your shirt off or you've not. But in my view is, you've either tried to influence the referee or you've not. You've either come to him like Rooney used to. Rooney was the king of it, trying to influence the referee. It's cheating. It's cheating. It's purely trying to bully and emotionally blackmail almost a referee to make a decision in pro of your team. And we just watch it happen. And the pundits slag off referees. Referees have such a tough time, but they're not protected enough. And the game has got harder to referee because of all these silly, ambiguous rules that we've just said about. But it's not made easy for them.
That's what VAR is supposed to do, though.
Yeah, but the rules are so ambiguous. You've got the same people looking at it, but just slowed down. And they still can't make a flipping decision. No.
So if they can't get it right with that, then go with the referee. Simple.
Too many people in doing. I mean, I can remember. I think it was in the last World Cup, and there was 10 officials, I think it was. I think we got into double figures. 10 officials watching the games. You had the referee, and you had the 2 linesmen. Then you had the 4th official. Then you had the VAR. Then you had the assistant VAR. So we're currently up to 6. Then there was the assistant VAR supervisor, and then there's another There's 8. I mean, how many does it take? Just going back to, and you laughed at me, right? But when I bought my book back in school, and that's not it. But one thing that I remember is that there was a picture of a football pitch, and the referee ran diagonally.
Yeah, diagonal. Yeah.
So whatever side he was on was opposite to the linesman.
Yeah.
And you say about the linesman not being able to keep up, he's only got half a fucking pitch to run. because he goes to the halfway line and then he comes back again. But the referee's got so surely that should be covering it all. But the referee very, very rarely talks to his linesman anyway. And Dave, when we played QPR and that guy got sent off, and I actually said, bloody hell, what's this referee doing? He had his card in his pocket, out his pocket, in his pocket, out his pocket. He went and he gave the yellow cards, I think, for the headbutts and the arguing and the handbags. He then went to speak to his linesman. His linesman said, he got him round the neck and he pulled him down. Well, that's a yellow card. He went over, second yellow. And I actually looked at it and I thought, my God, the linesman and the referee are talking to each other. I mean, they might talk anyway, but they're actually talking to each other. That's what we don't see enough of in my
opinion.
Opinion, that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. Yes. Yes.
See, I don't think the linesman has to be in line for an offside decision. I've never thought that because
VAR's not.
Well, no, exactly. But you can see if you know the game, you can see when that ball's about to be kicked, and you can still check the line. You do not have to be right in line because they'll miss something, and that's what they do. They're too busy running up and down trying to keep up. And I, unfortunately, when I managed a team for a while, I had to run the bloody line because lazy bastards who were substitutes wouldn't do it.
Parents won't do it. They all go. I've been the same. I was an assistant coach for one of my boys' teams. When it came to wanting linesmen, and you know what? What was worse is that because I didn't give a free kick to my own team, the abuse I got. And I said to the guy, I said, we were talking quite nicely before the game. You're swearing at me now. Fuck off. I said, there's the flag. You do it. I said, you fuck off every time 5 minutes before kick-off. You can't be asked to do it. Look, an assistant referees, let's give them the proper title.
Well, that touched the nerve, didn't it?
It used to really speak to his therapist about that next week.
Yes. Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah.
Like Dave's point earlier was that he didn't think linesmen were, it's not really a role anymore because a lot of their responsibility has been taken away. And I completely agree. At most matches I go to, if there's like a contentious, is it a corner, is it a goal kick, and the linesman is on that line, he never makes a decision. He kind of like has a bit of a wobble, looks over at the ref, and they look back at each other and they don't know what to do. And then the ref makes the call. And even with the Hamza thing on Friday night, with the Hamza thing, the linesman was 4 feet away.
Yeah.
It was the ref to make the decision. I was like, you've got to step in.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Going back to, and this is another thing I do remember from my book about the refereeing back when I was a kid. It was written on scrolls, but the referee will make the decision. It's only if he is not sure that he will look to the linesman. But the linesman is not allowed to make the decision until the referee's given it.
But even for a throw-in?
Apparently so.
No, they don't, do they?
In most occasions, when the ball's down the byline and it's gone out, I'm not sure if it's a goal kick or a corner. Most times than not, the referee's near the centre circle. So he's calling a goal kick?
This was the rules in 1976, so they may well have been changed quite a few times since.
Well, they've still not sorted them out because
you weren't even born then, were you, Kate?
No,
the
thank you. Just not committed
really
to make a decision. They're too frightened.
Right. I'm cancelling my subscription to your channel now. You upset me. Okay, I'm gonna say something a little bit controversial here. Taking on board the points you've made about that is we have a VAR for a game, don't we? And we have an assistant VAR. So we have 2 extra officials watching the game. Why don't those 2 officials become extra assistant referees? So we've actually got 4 assistant referees on each game. So if something's happening on one side near a corner flag and the referee happens to be on the linesman, assistant referee happens to be on the other side and therefore can't see it, the assistant referee on that side would be able to see it. So have 4 assistant referees.
Didn't they try that? They trialled it, didn't they? At some championships. They did. They had a guy on the. They had a guy on the.
Oh, they had a guy. No, that was on the back line, wasn't it? That was in Europe. Yes.
They had one either side.
You mean an extension of the touch line?
he could not make a decision.
No, didn't do anything.
No, because he was waiting for the referee to decide. No, that was on the goal line though, wasn't it? Yeah. And he was only on one side of the goal. But what about having an extra two assistant referees?
You said it was controversial. That's not controversial. That's actually quite sensible.
I love you, Kate.
Which means it won't get in.
Up to a point, Kate, to be fair. Yeah. I mean, come on.
But you have to, but it is quite unusual. Like, so you only run the touch line for half the pitch.
Yeah. Yes, ridiculous.
That doesn't happen in NFL.
No.
It doesn't happen in rugby.
I get it because football is so quick, and therefore, they are just, the idea is that the two halves are covered with the two, call them linesmen, for God's sake. That's what they are.
But you're right. That's decades old. That's generations old. The game's changed, so therefore that should. I mean, I always wondered what the fourth official did, apart from hold a board up, to be honest, and listen to arguments from Ferguson and Wenger, because they don't do anything else, do they? Really, they don't make.
They're there as a backup in case the referee, I think, has to go off injured as well.
Sit in the stand then, for God's sake, or do something useful and help make decisions. I don't get it, but you're right. I mean, we've had three officials forever.
So actually, you were both saying I've come up with a good idea there.
I'm trying not to, but
I thought you were. See, my other idea was as well, and this is probably more controversial now. We look at the rules, we make it simpler, and they did. It might have been one of Brian Clough's saying, like, football is a very simple game, made difficult by rules. Get rid of offside altogether. Why do we need offside?
I'd be happy with that. Because
that's twice.
What I always say about offside, and it really grates me, and this is probably from my netballing days, right? So you only allow certain players in certain areas of the pitch in netball. No. So you ban off. You have offside brought in to stop goal hanging in a game where you're encouraged to score goals, but you don't bring an offside in for defensive play. So you can park the bus with all your players in your half, and that's okay, which is essentially goal hanging, but in reverse.
Yeah.
So either bring it in for defensive play, like you have to have two players at all time, or three players in your own half at all times, or you just get rid of it full stop, and it's just free reign. If you want to play a high line or whatever, just the game's there to be scoring goals.
Yeah,
like parking the bus is so.
If you're a Gary Lineker and a goal hanger, and you're up there, and it's up to the other opposing team whether they want to have a defender back or not.
I don't know. I don't know how that would work.
Why you don't do it defensively? Because you can park the bus, which is the same thing. You can goal hang your own goal, which is doesn't make for a great spectacle of a football match at all. And it ends up being like a Manchester City game, 80-20 in possession and 0-0 for ages, and then they'll blitz you. And that's not in the spirit of the game either.
They tried that out as well in a funny way at the Anglo-Italian tournament, if you remember, Chris, many, many years ago, where they drew a line between the penalty box and the halfway line, and you could not be offside. You remember.
He's off to Belgium again. It was in the Belgian league.
You couldn't be offside behind that line, so that gave you another bit of space, and it opened the spaces up.
But then these days you'd have is your toenail over that line, or
the same old issue, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, to have somebody parked in the opposition penalty box all the time, I'm not sure. It'd be worth a try, but I don't know. I mean, I was also in my youth a defender, and it was nice to do the Arsene Wenger back four, with the hand up and step forward at the right time. And that was an art. To perfect that, you had to get it right. And then, of course, rely on the linesman, which was not always possible. So, I don't know. I'd like to see it trialed, but I don't know.
I think the problem we have is that as the FA or the PGMOL, whoever you want to say that runs football in this country, and the referees don't make the rules. The rules come down from FIFA, and that is the problem. We can't introduce our own rules. But can I just say...
Well, can we not? Because we are with the extra time, aren't we?
No, because that's
FIFA are not UEFA are not going to do it the way we do.
I thought they were, because they did it in FIFA did it in the World Cup, didn't they?
UEFA said they will not follow the Premier League on how they're doing it.
But then the Premier League are following FIFA, who are the big
Well,
I don't know.
That's
what I heard. That's what I heard Howard Webb say once, that they can't just change rules as they want. It's got to go off to a meeting in Switzerland and what have you. But can I just say, Kate, you are my new favourite pundit now. We've agreed twice.
But what's funny about the added time thing is this year we're going to actually.
Well, we're going to come on to that in a second, Kate, because that's the next topic.
It's not that favourite, obviously.
Don't jump in ahead. So I want to ask you, Dave, how many minutes do you pay to go and watch a football game for?
How many would I like to, or how many do I?
How many do you think, when you go and watch a football match, how many minutes technically are you paying to watch that game for?
I think I knew this, but I would, if I didn't know it, I'd probably say about 60 minutes.
Well, no, you're paying for 90 minutes, aren't you?
Well, football.
It's like when you go into a cinema. If that film is 1 hour, 20 minutes long, you are paying for 1 hour, 20 minutes. So you are paying to go and watch a game of football for 90 minutes.
It's a tricky one, because if you paid to go and see the Leeds game, you'd probably be disappointed and you didn't get 90 minutes of football. If you go to the theatre, you generally go and see something that you want to see, but it's also well performed. It's a difficult one.
I don't know whether you like the theatre or not, doesn't it? But Kate, you wanted to bring this up, and you did just then. I for one am all for this, and there's a sign there that says 19 minutes. There was one at the weekend, I think, that was 10. Yes, because fans are being, and again, it's the footballers. They don't care. The footballers are getting £100,000 a week, whether they play for 90 minutes or 66, whatever Dave said. They don't give a damn. But as fans, we're being shortchanged without this, aren't we?
Yeah, and I think the point that I raised to you earlier when I wanted to talk about this was football is the only sport I can think of in the world where timekeeping is left with the official. Every single other sport is outside of the official's control and hands, because the clock just stops. Or cricket, you have to bowl, 15 overs an hour? Like it's very obvious, and it's completely out of the official's hands. There's no human intervention, there's no emotional influence involved, because it is what it is. And football is the only sport I could think of where timekeeping is an issue. It's so contentious and they don't want to do anything about it, because it's part of cheating to encourage the bigger clubs to be more successful. And it's a massive issue. Tennis has a countdown clock. Basketball does. You have only 30 seconds to take a field goal in NFL. Otherwise, you'd use the turnover ball. Rugby is a stop clock. I don't understand why football is the only sport where timekeeping is controlled by the humans. It doesn't make any sense at all. And what my point was earlier was that with the injury time thing, and now they've said, oh, we'll do it properly, like what seemed to happen in the World Cup. So what does that mean you've been doing for the past 10 years? Literally making it up, which we all knew anyway, but they've just as well as admitted that they've been making it up. So what's the point in holding the fancy board up that cost about £1,000 to say you've got 4 minutes of injury time? Like, it's an absolute nonsense. It's more underhand behaviour, and it's not honest. And it's really frustrating.
At the end of the game and gone, what? There's more time than that, Yeah. But Dave, I totally 100% agree with Kate. That's 3 times in one show. But
Brad,
to play devil's advocate, do we end up like American football, where the game is sort of going on for 3 hours or something like that?
Well, that can be a problem. I mean, they leave before the game's over anyway, half the people, don't they? So I think if you're winning, it's an issue. If you're losing, it's great. That's what it comes down to all the time. If it benefits you, then fantastic. If it doesn't, then it's wrong. And I think that's the mentality of football supporters as well, that doesn't encourage it.
No. But Kate,
the other trouble is they never play the full time, or never used to. They might now, I don't know. But last year, Vicky, my daughter that came with me, she used to time the extra time because she was convinced that they weren't, doing the whole lot.
Yes, for the first time ever, which again is literally unfathomable, they let the clock tick past 90 minutes at the ground now.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, total transparency. Yeah. Like, but it's so easy. Like, why were you hiding it before? Why did the clock stop the KP at 90 minutes? Now it ticks on over, which is interesting.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's
and why was it just not done? Whose bright idea was that? But again, I think it's to be covert. It's to be underhand.
Yeah.
It's to be, so you can't properly tell when the game's about to finish. And
it's arts protection, isn't it? That's what it is. It's all about protecting the officials, and that they're not good, but they're protected by everybody.
But again, is it? Let's say Leicester 1-0 up, and there's 15 minutes extra time added on because there's been a lot of stoppages and a lot of time wasting, and we're into like 12th minute. And let's be honest with you, you can still score a goal in 3 minutes. We know that very well, Tottenham Hotspur. But the other players then look up at the thing and go, I'm just going to mess about and keep it here and play around the back for 3 or 4 minutes.
Well, they do anyway. That's at 89 minutes without knowing.
You see what I'm saying, though?
Yeah, well, why not?
Again, devil's advocate here.
Why not? Why not? Because that's what's called in the professional world. What is it?
Gamesmanship?
No. Well, that's what we call it. They call it managing the game.
Oh, game management. Yeah.
So.
And that's true. You can't. Why can't you just take it to the corner flag and hold it there until the opposition comes and gets it off you?
Yeah.
Then
it's up to the losing team to come and get it, isn't it?
But what shouldn't happen is Joe Blogg saws on the floor holding his knee, rolls around for a couple of minutes and realises that the game's not stopping. So he'll do something else to just then make the ref feel guilty. That happened against Leeds. There was no head injuries as such, but a guy just was lying on the floor for ages and didn't move. Then as soon as the referee blew his whistle, he was able to move. He made this miraculous recovery because the referee had stopped the game. And we lost about 5 minutes. So that's not about holding the ball up and passing it around the back. That's about deliberately stopping play. And there's nothing you can do about it because he's sat on his arse on the pitch.
There was one in the game where the Leeds player went down. Leeds had the ball and the referee played on. Leeds lost the ball. And I heard the commentator say it's not up to Leicester to kick it out because Leeds had the ball, so they should have kicked it out if they wanted the game stopping. VAR are sat there, Kate. VAR sat there watching this game, and they know when it's referred to them, if you like, if the referee stopped the game, they can see that. Press a button, stop the clock. Then for as long as they take, press it once again once the game starts again. So again, we have got the technology there to do that, or have somebody in the ground. Again, I suppose that's another official. Then we're adding with a watch and that does it. It's very easy to do, isn't it?
That's the thing. A lot of what fans get frustrated about, a lot of these problems that are in football, the solutions are so easy and would take probably no money to implement. How much money would it take to implement a stopwatch at a football match to make the KP clock stop like it does at the Tigers? It doesn't cost money.
No.
But it takes balls, and that's the problem.
But do you have that?
Fourth official could do that.
Yeah.
Nothing else to do, has he?
Dave's favourite official we found here. Do you let the crowd see it though when the clock stopped?
Absolutely. And if during a clock stopping period your team wants a drink or whatever, then do that. If you need to rehydrate, whatever, do that. But as long as the clock stopped, it would cut it out so much it would be untrue. The Leeds keeper must have taken 30 seconds per goal kick. This is why I don't understand why there's only 6 minutes added on. And all the referee kept doing was waving him on. There was no booking, waving him on. Then he moved it to the other side of the box. If you're stopping the clock, it doesn't happen.
Well, you remember Vardy used to count, didn't he? 6 seconds.
Yeah, that went out. That was another rule that was thrown out the window, wasn't it? That rule never gets executed. The 6 second rule, he's just bouncing it and bouncing it and bouncing it.
And it wastes time.
I think that's technically, I think that's still in play, isn't it?
It should be, but
if you went up and kicked it out during the mid bounce, it'll give a foul to the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So you're screwed.
How would you have felt though if Hermanson had been doing that?
Well, if we were winning, I'd feel great.
I don't like dishonesty in sport. I hate it, even if I'm on the receiving end of it. I don't like it. I think Leicester are actually, I don't know whether it's just me a bit biased, but I think we didn't play the ref enough last year. Some of the teams that came up against us were just not in the ref. We're just not in the ref's ear enough. Vardy and Madders were, and that's about it. But some of the other teams, they are all over it, and it makes a difference. It clearly makes a difference, which is why it's worth their while. But we're not quite good enough.
That's why we should play Cody, because I'd have thought he'd be in the referee's ear all the time.
Yeah.
And we need somebody. We need somebody on the pitch who's going to give this verbal leadership. And I'm told he will.
I think, like De Bruyne said, didn't he, in the summer, that this is going to make players tired with their hectic schedules, etc., etc. And I just don't go with it. There won't be 10 minutes of injury time if you're not faffing, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. So basically, what De Bruyne is saying is that I can only play for 60 minutes, and after that, I'm knackered. I mean, I'm 100% for this, and I know I've taken the worst one I could find above there at 19 minutes, but if it is 19 minutes, you play 19 minutes. And again, Kate, what you were saying earlier about things not being enforced, if that was being enforced time and time and time again, and teams that were ahead ended up only drawing, or teams that were drawing ended up losing because of the time wasting, the managers would soon cut it out, would they not?
Yeah, absolutely. And when there's more stoppages, it can work both ways. Like if there is a 90 plus 10 that comes upon the board because you have been faffing about, during all those stoppages that you've accumulated, there's an element that you can lose concentration. You switch off because you're breaking from momentum of the game. So it can also work against you, which I don't think managers would want either.
And Dave, though, isn't it a case? I said earlier about VAR 5.5 minutes between Bournemouth and Burnley, and it interrupted Burnley's dominance at that time, and was good for Bournemouth, who were winning. It's also the same with players going down, isn't it? You know, they do that to break up play and to take. Oh God, we've been under the cosh here for about 4 minutes. Go down injured, and it'll give us a break.
Yeah, they're embarrassing, aren't they? They embarrass themselves. Their teammates should bollock them for it, because it's wimpish, isn't it? Because nobody touches them, they go down rolling round, and that's been going on for years, and nobody's done anything about it. They're not going to do anything about it because
I don't know how you switch that. The mentality in rugby is man up and get on with it, even if you've got a broken nose. So how do you get that mentality into a different, like into football? It's a multi-million dollar question, really.
It's the players. The players have to do it because the referees are too scared to ignore an injury, whether it's real or fake. Because if it goes wrong, they're the guys that will get it. So it's all about fear. And while we've got wimps playing football, you're going to get that. Because they say if it was rugby and guys behave like that, they'd soon get taken out.
Can I tell you about another YouTube rabbit hole?
Yeah, good, can, but
it was a match of the day.
Not 9 o'clock yet.
From last season, I think it was either last season or the season before, and there was a player that went down, and there was Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer, and Ian Wright on the panel, and the player went down, and he was screaming that loud that they could hear him. At the end of the show, they all fell off the chairs screaming. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Was like. So basically, before we go over to the few questions from the viewers, as they say, we've agreed then that rules are too complicated, rules are changed too often, and rules are not enforced. I think we all agree with those 3 points.
That is football in a nutshell.
It is it not? Yes, I'm quite pleased with my little self there.
There should be some kind of campaign, and that is the tagline.
Yeah, well, somebody said here, I don't know what he was referring to. I'm sorry, Joe, because it was a while ago. Time for Frexit. I'm sure we can come up with something, but definitely, I don't care how much time is added on. I must admit, I used to leave games early, and I don't know what people's thoughts are on this, but if I was at the KP, I could save myself probably 45 minutes to an hour on the journey home, which was a 4-hour journey back down to Poole. And like I say, just by leaving those few minutes early and having, being able to get out the ground and the stadium early. But if there was an extra 19 minutes added on, I would leave, after 18, if you like. So I would still stay that bit longer. But definitely, definitely all for it. Right, Scott came up with a question earlier. There are rumours that players in January are already being lined up from Premier League clubs, Ndidi being one. How worried are the panel if players like him leave? Dave, let's go to you first for that one.
Well, I don't think he will. I think, although saying that, the way he's played this year, he's certainly put himself out there. But I think they'll be having such a good time. I think they'll stick it out to the summer. I really do, unless we get offered silly money. And silly money is money that nobody would have paid for him in the summer, and nobody did. But then he's had 2 shit years, hasn't he, to be fair?
Yeah.
And it's only this year that he started to play like he can. But I don't think they will, Scott. I really don't. I think the guys have bought into it so well. Indeed, he actually looks like he's having fun when he was fit. And enjoying himself, which I've not seen that for a year or two.
From any player.
From any player, yeah. So, no.
I mean, he always looked a miserable bugger, didn't he?
Stop it. But I actually, for the first time, being in the second tier, are confident that they'll all stay and see it out.
I think the worry is, Kate, that obviously a lot of these players, like Ndidi, Kelechi, are all on the one. They're coming up to the end of the contract in the summer. So, if no contract has been signed, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I'm sure Hamza's not the only one that's been spoken to. Is it down to? Are we better off? Is what I'm trying to say. So, are we better off sort of maybe losing them for nothing in the summer, rather than cashing in now? Because if we keep those players and get promotion, that'd be worth a hell of a lot more for us than getting a 5-10 million in the transfer window.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was thinking along those lines. So even if indeed he did want to go, I don't think he'll go this year. I think he'll want to finish the project because they've all bought into it. Remember, Enzo said he'd convinced 6 to stay in the summer anyway. And yeah, like you, if they go in the summer and we don't get any transfer fees for them, I don't think that's as big an issue as losing them halfway through the season. Because what could happen with Ndidi is that I think he's brilliant. The change in him is brilliant to see. It's so nice to watch someone, like Dave said, enjoying their football again. Because he is an attribute. He's a real key attribute of Leicester City over the last 5 or so years. But what you don't want to see is that there is an argument that Ndidi is being better because he's dropped a division. And he actually has lost. He's lost. That's just an argument. But also, when he comes to renew his contract in the summer, he'll naturally want more money. So, is he worth that money? Does he want to stay, or can we get and pay somebody else the same kind of wages, but who is better and more established in the Prem? So there's not quite a lot going into the melting pot with that. I love Ndidi. I'd really want him to stay. I think he's shown he is Premier League level, and he's just had a rough couple of seasons, and he's a new player now with a new energy and a new role, actually.
Yeah.
So that's a lot goes into the melting pot with it all, really.
Did they take a cut on salary to get relegated?
I think some probably did, some probably didn't.
Right. So, I mean, most of the old guard are still on Premier League wages.
I think so, because if you're an Ndidi when he signed for us, did you ever think we were going to get relegated?
Yeah,
Leicester,
exactly.
isn't it? Leicester.
And you'd think also that should be a natural template in a contract that there's a relegation clause in there. If there's a release clause in there,
Well, they learnt with Canty, didn't they, about the release clause?
Yeah.
that bit them on the bum.
You'd like to think there is, but even so, you've got to know if there are better players out there for the same wages, there's a decision to make from the club, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, I think that's always I think that's where
always,
Enzo will make the decision, and he'll know. He knows. I bet he's even thinking now, without telling anybody about players for when we get promoted. He'll be weighing them up and looking at them and checking them all out. He's not going to be like Brendan was and no real plan, or not even a plan A or B. He will be well ahead of it, I think, because that's how he's grown up, and that's the mentality of being even for a year at Man City, where Pep is like working 4 or 5 years in advance, and you can tell that by the players he signs. Because they don't all get in straight away. Some of them don't get in at all, and he'll get rid of them, but only because their attitude doesn't fit in with the way Man City are. And I think that'll be the same with us.
And do you think there'll be a lot of decisions on where we are next season? I mean, at the moment, all right, we've lost 2 games. We'd have taken that at the start of the season, obviously. It looks like we're going to be going up. But let's say we fall off, and there's nothing to say that we won't. Like you said, Dave, this is Leicester. If we fall off, the players like Ndidi and Iheanacho won't stay. Where if we go up and we want them to, they may well say, "Yeah, I want to stay and see where that journey goes." I
think so, and they'd be mad not to, because if everything carries on as it's going at the moment, it'll be too much of an exciting place to leave. And why would you want to miss out on all that? For the first time in 2 or 3 years, we've got something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And we've got a guy who can carry it forward, and it's amazing.
Scott, I think we've covered this, Scott, but it says, should there be more injury time, allocated, as it started off with having 10 to 15 minutes? I think we have actually really covered that one. John says, does the panel, there we go, we're officially the panel, does the panel think we need to get a more attacking 8 in January? Cassidy looked off the pace on Friday night. I'll go to you with that one, Kate, because I know you quite like Cassidy.
Yeah, I do quite like Cassidy, and I thought, I think it was against Sunderland, he was outstanding. Like there's real attributes about him, that he's a big guy, he puts himself about. He's not as physical as I'd like. But then I thought on Friday night he had an absolute stinker, and there was no 2 ways about it. He was clearly quite pivotal to the tactics that Enzo put in place, and it didn't at all gel, and he didn't change it soon enough. In my opinion, it wasn't working for him. So he's still nowhere near the finished article, but he's such a young lad. But at the minute, I can't quite see what all the fuss was about getting him, like this superstar. I don't quite see him as a superstar. I know there's a lot of games to go. He's still really young, etc., but he's not just fitted in as some of the others have. And I thought on Friday night he really looked out of his depth, which was an interest, because that would be a Premier League rival potentially. And I just thought he looked off it. He looked off the pace, like John says, and it worried me a bit. So I think we do need maybe a more attacking 8. I think I read Arlo White's article on Twitter that said he felt that Winks perhaps isn't as incisive as he would like. That's the only drawback about Winks. I think sometimes he's not as incisive, but he does sit a bit back. So getting an attacking 8 wouldn't be a bad option at all. But whether you get those in January, I don't think you do. But
no, it is a bit of a funny window. But Dave, what was it? Is it the fact that we're just missing Ndidi?
Well, yeah, you wouldn't think that, would you? But I think we are. But also, I think the pace on Friday was pretty hectic by Leeds. I think Leeds were exceptional.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll play that well that often this year. I hope not, anyway. But we seem to struggle with the pace and the intensity of it. That's the impression I got on watching it on the telly, anyway. And we were second best. And I think, to be fair, yeah, he had a shocker, but then so did 1 or 2 others. And this is the first time all season we've actually said that.
Yeah,
Yes.
but Vardy was non-existent on Friday as well. Like there was no option there. He looked a bit jaded, a bit lethargic, a bit lackluster. So it was just one of those nights. One of those nights.
Yeah, we have them.
Have we set the bar too high for ourselves?
Well, yeah, but it's the players have set the bar high. It's them, and I'm sure the managers told them that. You know, they've set the standard. They've got to live up to it. Because as soon as they start falling down, he'll swap the team about, and he'll make sure they don't. And this is why I think is it Saturday? You know, it's going to be a tough game Saturday. Is it Borough away? Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing well.
Yeah, I think you'll see a big change in the team on Saturday. I reckon he'll make half a dozen changes at least. And
I agree with you. I think we do miss Ndidi, Chris. I think Ndidi's engine is one of his biggest positives, and we missed that a bit.
But we wouldn't have said this last season. So Ndidi's changed. We know that. Vestergaard's changed. We know those are the two players that we talk about every week, and all jokes aside about Vestergaard, they are the two players that have had the biggest change while staying at the team. And Cassidy, he's still, you know, everybody else has come in and sort of settled in straight away. And there is a talent there, golden boot and golden assist and all that, whether it was the Euros or the World Cup. So we know there's a talent there, but I think he's just taking that little bit longer to settle in. But we'll finish on this one now from Ronald McDonald. Let's finish on a fillet of fish. How about if they change VAR next season and let every team have 3 appeals like how they do in cricket? I was watching cricket the other day. I know I'm sad.
Really?
I was watching England play Australia. And we lost. We lost, believe it or not, in the World Cup. So it was a one-day. I can't do 5-day games. They just bore me to death. But this was a World Cup, 50 over, whatever it was. And when there's a decision made, they've got, I think it was so many seconds, and you can see it comes up on the screen, and they count down the high. They count
10, I think it's 10 seconds. Yeah, 10 seconds, not 5.
Yeah, and it counts down. And you see that on the screen, which is the same on the big screen in the ground. My worry about that sort of thing is, for me, football's a fast game. You know, even when Vestergaard is playing, you know, to me, to you with wings, it's still the whole idea of football is a fast game. Cricket, even the 50-dayers and the T20s and all that, still not a quick game, because after every ball that's bowled, they can change all the players round and take time, and they've got to get the ball and all that. Are we just slowing the game down to a point where it's not going to be worth watching, Dave?
If you ever want to hear about cricket, ask Chris. From a non-cricketing point of view. Well, rugby, they do it.
Yeah, it's not as free flowing, is it?
And tennis.
Yeah, tennis, all fast games.
And you say it's not a fast game, but if you think it's hit a batsman's glove from 100-mile-an-hour ball, you need help looking at that on the camera.
Yeah.
So it's 100-mile-an-hour ball, it's been lobbed.
I think that we started off with this, didn't we, to a degree, that it's not VAR that's the problem, it's the people using it. They cannot interpret what they see on the screen. And this goes back to have footballers.
Or does VAR have a countdown clock? They've got 30 seconds.
Yeah, bloody right it does. Not 5 minutes.
If you can't decide, it's with the referee. If you really, what should happen is, with offside or whatever, you don't need lines. When it's slowed down to the extent it's slowed down, just eyeball it like a linesman could and would if he could slow the game down in real time. Like, just slow it down for me. Can I see it? It's not offside. Even if he's slightly leaning, just give it attacking advantage. It's what everybody wants to see. So like Jay said, the technology isn't at fault.
No. I mean, the idea was that the attacker gets the advantage anyway in football. I always thought that's how it worked.
I thought that.
Just go back though. I don't think any of those games are particularly fast games. I don't think rugby's a fast game. That stops a hell of a lot more than football does. And, you know, you've got, you know, the ball drops or whatever, and you've got them all piling in and it breaks. Cricket, there's no way that's a quick. Well, especially even the T20 is not quick because, like I say, by the time the bowler's got the ball back, walked half a mile to where he decides he wants to start his run up, then waits for the captain to move the players around and bring them in, or move somebody.
The ball coming at 90 miles an hour at you.
Yeah, that bit's fast, but as a game, it's not fast, is what I'm saying. And I'm just thinking, like basketball, they have timeout, and that slows it down. American football, how long has anybody ever actually watched a Super Bowl? I haven't watched it all the way through because I get bored after 10 minutes.
I know, mate. You watch when you're passing the ball backwards and forwards across the line. That's not very quick, is it? Or standing on the ball waiting for an option. That's not a fast game anymore. It's not like bang it up the middle and knock it in. It's just people just passing the ball across the line. Really slow.
You've still got supposedly 90 minutes, but let's say 100 just to be generous to finish that game. How many Super Bowls or American football games are over in that time?
Well, I don't know. I don't understand.
I mean, if it takes them
4 hours, 3 to 4 hours, isn't it? And
yeah.
How much?
If you take, and it's a day out, isn't it? It's not just we'll nip to the game. It's a whole we'll have a day out, take a picnic. They do in America, don't they?
That's why they charge you £200 a ticket, probably.
I just think that if you have appeals, it takes them 5.5 minutes now to decide whether it's an offside or not in that game. If we start introducing appeals, how long is it going to take them to sort an appeal out?
I think as well in football, which I think is kind of what you're getting at, Chris, with regards to the pace of the game, there could be something happen every single minute in football that's contentious. Cricket, you don't really get that. Tennis, you don't really get that. And rugby, you don't really get that. There's not many contentious things because the game is clearer because it's probably a bit slower. Whereas football, you could have 5 minutes and you've used up all your 3 appeals, couldn't you? Because there's a lot more going on. And it's a more free-flowing game.
And that's because the referees make the wrong decisions and the VAR people don't know what they're doing.
But in rugby, the referee leads it, doesn't he? He'll say, can you check white number 8 for me, please? I'm thinking that he's knocked it on. Can you check that? So the referee leads it. Whereas in football, he's made to look like an idiot, quite frankly.
But
and look at the TV screen.
And the rugby guys will say there is nothing obvious there.
Yeah.
Go on with your decision, and that's it. Done. And that takes 2 or 3 minutes at the most.
And you can hear the mic discussion with rugby, which is another bone of contention that football won't release it. Now, I'm massively against this, but more so from the respect angle. If you launched audio, the players would be so much more respectful to the referee because you can't be seen effing and jeffing to the referee. No. And that would, I think, diffuse a lot of anger in the crowd because they can see the players are behaving themselves a bit better.
And they know what's going on, which is the whole point of paying your money, isn't it? Know what's going on.
I don't agree with being able to hear the referees because I don't think that will actually change anything. So you hear him make a decision, you're not going to say, "Well, yeah, he was right."
But he'll explain why he sees it that way. But
they did that in the Women's World Cup or Women's one of them. Did it really make a decision? The referee was told to go and look at the monitor. So the referee trundled across. She watched the monitor. She turned around. She said, "Decision of a free kick has been rescinded, and it is now a penalty." Well, that's just the same as they're going and awarding the penalty. We were no better off by hearing that.
Well,
I just think there's other more important things that they need to look at than whether we listen to them or not.
Well, scrap VAR would be a classic, yeah.
Well, yeah. Look, you're preaching to the converted here, I think.
You've got to agree with me one day. Might as well do it.
Well, I didn't think it would ever happen. You're still 3-1 down, Dave. You're still 3-1 down.
Yeah, he's got his free OnlyFans subscription. That's the only reason why he's kissing my ass.
You're not giving you a free one, Dave?
Yeah, no.
Oh, you're not in, you see. You're not
I
in.
did have a banana omelette today.
A banana.
Have you ever-
Because there's
Yeah,
no
I
such
know.
thing.
Is that a
We bought-
euphemism?
Well, I'd like to think so, but we had a lot of bananas going spare.
1 hour 35
No,
minutes before we got into the cookery channel.
No, Scott, I wouldn't
You wouldn't.
take the playoffs.
No.
No. Well, I'd take it if I had to, but I'd be very disappointed. Very
Yeah, I
disappointed.
wouldn't. It's
we
too.
are still
It's
in
oh, it's
11th
one of the
point.
dice playoffs.
We are. I mean, I think the thing that interests. Well, I would think the fact Plymouth held Ipswich to a draw. Ipswich, because if Ipswich had won that, and then Ipswich win, is it tomorrow or Wednesday they play when they play Rotherham? They would have been above us.
Well, teams will have bad patches. We've lost 2 games. That's all. We haven't had a bad patch yet. If we lose at Borough, you could probably start to think that. But even 2 defeats isn't a bad patch. It's just a bad patch with what we've been used to. So I think it'd be fine. I think they're strong enough to come back, and that will show actually how strong we are. If we're going to get 3 points at Middlesbrough, then we'll all be back on it again.
We will. And last time we lost against Hull, we had a international break. The international break now comes after Middlesbrough. Now we came back after Hull with a win. A lot of people were saying, I don't want to necessarily get into the actual game, but a lot of people were saying that game was more important to Leeds than it was to Leicester. Is this game more important for Leicester than it is for Middlesbrough, Kate?
Glad he asked you that.
Yeah, I would think it is more important. I think it is more important for Leeds was kind of one of those. If we lose, we lose. It's not the end of the world.
No.
Whereas Middlesbrough, you don't want it to be 2 losses on the bounce, because not that panic will set in or anything like that, but it's just not a great feeling going into international break, going off the back of 2 defeats, because a bit of doubt will come in. These are players that were really battered and bruised from last year, and they've not forgotten about that yet. So I do think and if I'm just looking here at the table, if Middlesbrough win, they're still outside of the playoffs. Not much, only by a point, but so yeah, I think it's more important for us to just keep hammering home that we are the best in the league, and other teams have got to work their asses off to keep even within any kind of reach of us.
Can I just say, Dave, that Middlesbrough, fair play to you, are below Blackburn Rovers.
Well, I didn't like to say that. Blackburn are on a run at the moment.
Yes,
Good
they are.
win. Mind you, Norwich haven't done anything since we beat them, have they?
They're down in 17th, Norwich.
Yeah.
But
See,
then
everybody
again,
has
in
the-
fairness, don't get too cocky, Dave, because Coventry are down in 20th.
Well, you see, that was good. That's good. Because if I support them, bet on them or something, they'll get relegated.
Actually, when we finish, Kate, can you send me on Twitter my prediction? Because you wrote them down, didn't you?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I've got pictures. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not those pictures. Let's just not.
Oh, well, we know about the pictures, don't we, Chris?
Well, can I just say, right? Talking of pictures, over your right shoulder. Let me see,
That
right
one
shoulder.
or that one.
No, that's your left. That's your right. Yeah.
Right.
Over your right shoulder, there's a
Yeah.
pic. Is that you as a cute baby? I use those 2 words, you and cute, very wisely.
No, that's my youngest, I think, when she was a cute baby.
Aw.
That's me up there with the teddy bear.
Can you see a teddy bear, Kate?
Can I move my head? Can't you
Is
see
that
it?
in the brown frame in the centre?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
right. Oh, well, we all had one of those back in the day, didn't we? Sat on a rug in front of the fire.
We do. I'm going to move this round for next time.
So looking at that of your youngest, who looks very, very cute. Obviously, she got her looks off Kathy.
For that. Well, actually, she looks a bit like me in that brown frame, so it must be me. I was different, That's the wedding photo there. Look, the flowing locks and
I
the
can see the hair. Love it.
it was the 7th before you were born, Kate.
70s, eh? Did you
What an
get some
era.
memories? Did you get some memories from 1976 this morning, Dave?
I did indeed. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That took me back. Took
Yeah.
me back. I had hair back then as well.
Actually, I'm sitting in the wrong place because that light's shining on my head and making it look like I haven't got any hair.
Didn't like to say anything.
It just happens to be grey. That's all.
It's the light, Dave. It's the light.
It is the light.
I went for to the barber's the other day, and with my beard, it's shaped here. And I said, no, I hadn't shaved, it couldn't be arsed, I hadn't shaved down there, so it had grown. So I said, leave it and just sort of, size it all in and everything. When I got home, my grey goes down to there where the line is, and then the hair underneath there was black. So it looked like I hadn't washed because that was all grey. And you like you say, you can't see the grey. I do look Mexican with this.
Yeah.
Black.
It has been said.
A
That
Mexican
Merv Hughes.
bulldog. Sorry?
Like Merv Hughes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't mention cricket again, Kate, please.
That's true.
But do you've got little black hairs coming out your ears and things like that when you get older, don't you? And all sorts of places you're not expecting. And
Why?
it's quite a chat.
Why does the hair go off your head
I don't know.
and yet start growing everywhere else?
I think somebody keeps pulling it out like that. It's all a bit of a challenge.
Like that.
A bit of a challenge when you get older.
Anyway, let's not go anywhere else with the hair, please.
Certainly not. No.
Kate, Dave, it's been a pleasure as always.
Chris,
and I've got to say, congratulations. We did keep it on topic right up until the end there.
Well, you know, I try my best.
You set yourself very low standards and failed
Indeed.
to go up to Dave.
But I tell you seriously, joking aside, I can recommend banana omelets. Give them a go. I've never had one before.
Interesting.
Banana omelets.
Yeah, I know. Amazing.
Now, I love anything banana. I've got to say, I love banana flavored ice cream, banana angel delight. Bananas. I just love the flavor. And growing up, I don't think there is anymore. I had banana. You see, you've started us off now. Welcome to the food channel. Banana and custard.
I used to have that a lot.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah,
Always
my
had
brother
that.
used to have a blue fit because if my mum had made it more than 1 minute before, the custard had got this, in his imagination, a layer of skin on it, and he would just
No, it did.
eat it.
No, it
It
used to.
wouldn't have custard, but you just mix it in, don't you? You just mix it up and it's fine. But yeah, bananas and custard is a staple of my childhood, definitely.
Oh,
My
loved it.
mother's custard always had skin on it. Always. Mostly brown. I have
Do you
no idea what
remember?
else.
Do you remember those rice pudding? That always
Oh,
used to have a
God, yeah.
brown skin on, didn't it?
Yeah, always.
Delicious.
Yeah. Oh, gorgeous. Now, see, now you started me off.
Mm.
Fried bread and tomato sauce. With
Yes.
just tomato sauce spread on it,
Yes.
like you'd spread on jam on a toast or something. Yes. Oh,
I used to have sugar sandwiches. No wonder I got diabetes. Sugar sandwiches.
I think my nan had lard sandwiches.
Oh, definitely, yeah, lard. Mm. Dripping, it used to be called. Bread and dripping.
Yeah,
dripping.
yeah.
Yeah. My daughter growing up, Heather, she still doesn't eat an awful lot of meat, but she was never a meat eater. And all she ever used to eat, her favourite meal was tomato sauce sandwiches.
Yeah, done that. Yeah.
Oh.
But anyway,
Let me ask you this though, because this came up at work. Well, oh God, it was a while ago because I was working. Weetabix with butter.
I don't
Look
like
at that
Weetabix.
Look at that face at the end there.
I don't like Weetabix, to be honest. So
Well, then you're into a loser, aren't you?
Is
yeah,
that not really dry?
it's not
No.
a thing, is it?
You put oodles of butter on it. That's why I've got diabetes. You put oodles of March, whatever you particularly want.
Oh, not much.
And then at the end, because obviously as you're eating your Weetabix, I'm not even looking at the comments. I've got it on full. I've done a Dave. I've gone lard. So I don't know what's going on in the comments. But obviously as you're eating the Weetabix, right, it crumbles. So then if you when you got halfway down, just eat the top off the Weetabix like you're eating the the caramel off of Twix and crunch the rest of it up. So you got lots of broken up Weetabix. Put some more butter on the side of your plate with a little spoon, and get a bit of butter and a scoop of Weetabix crumbs. Can't beat it. And everybody laughed at me at work. Google it.
Why?
No, Google it, because they've got strawberries on there. They've got all sorts on Weetabix.
I'm not doing that. There's no way I'm having butter with my Weetabix. It's just ridiculous.
I get strawberries on Weetabix. Ah, yes, he might have been actually. Yeah, Martin George.
Hang on. My wife has that. What? I don't. I don't know. I really don't know.
Maybe banana omelette. It could be banana omelette, angel delight, whatever we've discussed.
You see, look, the crowd are joining in now.
Bread
pudding, yeah.
Bread pudding.
I could only eat that if I took the currants out. I didn't like currants. Fuck.
Is bread pudding the same as bread and butter pudding?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
You can have Weetabix and butter pudding.
Ah, with ketchup.
It'd have to be cold though. But
yeah, good point.
I might go and have some of that now. Actually,
yeah.
I've started. There we go. Oh dear, the panel have gone to a new heights now, having conversation about desserts.
Oh, it makes you hungry though, doesn't it?
We're going to do starters. What's your favourite starter? A starter of choice.
Garlic mushrooms.
Oh yeah.
Yes. 4, Kate. 4.
What's going on?
I take my life in my hands with that because I suffer with heartburn really badly, Barrett's syndrome. So I have to take a tablet every day to sort of keep it down. And every 3 years I go off and have the old tube down my mouth. And but I love garlic mushrooms.
There's nothing right structuring your diet to suit your body, is there?
As I said to my daughter the other day, who said I was eating all badly, etc. I'm 62, fat and bold. It's not like I'm suddenly going to start dating Christine Brinkley, is it? Let's be honest. You know what I mean?
Well, she's about 75 now, so you might.
At my age, I don't set me heights. Me sights very high.
I like white bait.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I like
now, prawn cocktail was the original.
Yeah.
I would have gone for prawn cocktail, but garlic mushrooms, no.
What it used to be, you had prawn cocktail. What do you have for the main course? I can't remember. And then
steak, wasn't it?
Possibly. And then, oh God, what's it? Trifle, sherry trifle.
Oh, sherry trifle.
A good Midlands mix that was. Yeah.
I went into a restaurant once, and when they brought me the sweet, they brought me a horse with a blindfold. I went, no, mascarpone.
Oh God.
Thank you.
On that note.
You'll get no comments on that one, I'm telling you now.
Very quickly. This is why you gave me the job, you see, as DJ. It's my jokes. Did you used to live in Leicester, Dave?
No, Nuneaton.
Oh, you may not remember. Kate, I think it's gone now.
Your mother lived in Leicester.
Go back to Leicester, and I can't remember where it was, but there used to be a Woolco store, and there used to be. It wasn't a Swiss Cottage, I don't think, but there used to be like it was a Scottish themed sort of bar, restauranty sort of place, and always went in there and had, like you say, prawn cocktail, followed by a cheap steak, if you like, you know,
flash fry.
Yeah. What was it called? Do you remember what was it? I can't remember now, but somebody will tell me. But yeah, that was in Leicester. Anyway, I'm going on. All our yesterdays. Welcome along. How are you doing?
You knew how to impress a girl, didn't you? In them days.
Hey, I tell you what. Oh, keep her hands off me prawns. Anyway, let us quickly move on. It's like the Antiques Roadshow. Talking of which, Dave, do you want to tell anybody where they can follow you?
Well, I suggest you listen to The Breakfast Show, 7 till 10, every weekday morning. SurreyHillsRadio.co.uk, assuming we haven't blown up.
And as can I just say, as the host on that radio show, I'd very strongly recommend you don't. If
Yeah.
you want to wake up and have a good time. It's
There's some good music this morning.
It is, but I do tend to kind of stay to the same decade, don't I?
What, ABBA?
You can't have enough ABBA. My friend in Australia, who I send the link to, always says, like, you always manage to get an ABBA record in there, Chris.
I'm just glad our license don't let you play more than 3 in a row.
Wednesday, it's the top 10 selling ABBA singles.
Oh, my
But
life.
we'll only be playing the top 3, unfortunately. Otherwise, they'll get us taken down.
Well, it's unfortunate, but that's just a general licensing rule for everybody.
It is what it is. I'll just have to throw a few more dad jokes in.
Unless you can get Benny to let you play more of them.
I'll give him a bell afterwards.
Yeah, do them. Ring it. Seriously, email them. Email them. They reply generally.
Do they?
Yeah.
What?
Well, John Lennon's
Not email
solicitor-
email him direct.
No, John Lennon's solicitor replied to me about when I did a special.
John Sloan?
John Lennon. His
Oh.
solicitor.
Oh. No,
Yeah,
I don't
he-
think
he
if I
replied.
asked John Lennon's solicitor, he'll be able to help me with ABBA.
No, but you can find the record label.
I will. Yes, I've got a day. I might well do that, sir. I might well do
Indeed.
that.
Anyway, do that. Listen tomorrow, 7:00.
I'll employ him as my manager and my agent.
No, I have no idea what else to say about you, Chris.
That's not libelous. Kate,
No.
moving on quickly. Where can people follow you, young lady?
They can follow
I say
me on
lady,
Twitter.
sorry, you know.
They can follow me on Twitter at Kate Blakey40.
Yes, they can indeed. Make sure you do that. She talks a lot of sense. But then again, one of the three of us has to, I guess.
Not to stop agreeing with me.
Yeah.
You see, you're talking sense. You know, what can I say? We're going to be back on Thursday with the preview show. We've got a Middlesbrough fan coming on. 7:00 on Thursday, we will be back. But thank you very much, both of you.
Nice to hear, guys.
We'll
Cheers,
do it
Kate.
again in a week's time. And I got to say, it's good night from me.
It's good night from him.
And it's good night from Brad.
The one that I thought would get it, because he's old, didn't get it. Thank you, Kate.
No,
Thank you.
Well, I
No
didn't
worries.
realise you were talking to me for a change, you know, with Kate and you being so close together.
Oh, he's so jealous.
I'd agree.
I know. You've gone green there, Dave.
No, I know.
Just because you haven't got an OnlyFans account. So, hey, Kate, you want to see Dave's OnlyFans account? Actually, no, you don't.
You don't
Is
want
it
to see
banana
that.
omelets? Is it banana omelets and sausages?
It certainly is, Kate. And
So
you're
now-
welcome to it any time.
I've suddenly now got a vision. Do you remember that film? Was it Calendar Girls, where they all pose naked, but they hold like cream buns in front of
The
the.
buns, yeah.
I've just thought of that with Dave with his OnlyFans and a banana omelette.
Go
We
down
need
a storm. It would
Yeah.
break the internet. It would go down a storm.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. Thanks.
I'm going to go to bed with that thought now. Damn it.
Oh, please don't. Please don't.
As always, are you going at the weekend, Kate?
No, I'm on holiday, aren't I? I'm off now for a few weeks.
Oh, lovely.
God.
Oh.
You don't do me.
Yeah, I'm off for a few weeks now, so I won't be back for a while.
I haven't got a holiday form off you. Well, what did you do?
I did message you. I was prepared and planned ahead
When did you message me?
about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
There you see.
Well, come on. I've slept
Sorry.
since
While you two are doing human resources, is it all right if I get on my dinner?
then. No.
Go for it.
I'm going to stay here. Brilliant. Hey, have a great holiday anyway, Kate.
Yeah, have a nice time.
See you in
Thank
a
you very
few
much.
weeks. Take
Missing
care,
you
everybody.
already.
Later.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.